Hi, this is Deacon Hayes again from wellkeptwallet.com, and welcome to Session 3, the final session of Debt Free in 18 Months, where we're going to talk about ways to increase your income to get some extra cash and ways to decrease your expenses. Before we get into that, let's do some review from the last two sessions. In the first session, we talked about the key to paying debt off so quickly. And what is that key? Well, it's developing a financial game plan and sticking to it on a monthly basis. We talked about the financial game plan not only tracking income and expenses, but also your assets and your debts. Talked about the debt snowball. What is the debt snowball? Well, simply it's paying off your debts smallest to largest. And we had used the debt reduction form to list those and to be able to structure them in such a way that you can start to make some real progress and gain momentum. So today's lesson, session 3, is all about earning extra cash and decreasing your expenses. So let's get started. What are the two things you can do to get out of debt faster? Well, we just talked about it. One is increase your income. The other is decrease your expenses. And so we're going to go over 10 ways to increase your income to hopefully get you as much cash as you possibly can to snowball your debt and get out of debt within 18 months. Number one is sell your stuff online. And this is crucial. This is one of the first things that we did. We had an upside down vehicle when we were getting out of debt and we needed to come up with some extra cash. And so this is a way that we did that. And the resources that we used were ebay.com, amazon.com, Craigslist, etsy.com. These are ways that you can sell stuff, make some extra cash. If you haven't heard of Etsy, it's basically where you can actually create products, crafts. I encourage you to check it out and sell them. And so it's more of a unique marketplace where if you have some sort of specific product that you want to sell that's kind of artsy or crafty, that would be a place to do that. Craigslist, that's where you would sell big items, couches, dressers, beds, anything that you don't want to ship. And then eBay and Amazon is pretty much where you'd sell any small or medium-sized items. The second thing you can do to get some extra income is get a second job. And this is also something that I did while we were getting out of debt. Some ideas are pizza delivery, serving, cashier. These are jobs that are a little bit more flexible, that you could still work a full-time job and work one of these on the side for a short period of time and earn some extra cash. When we were getting out of debt, I delivered pizzas for a place in Phoenix where I would work, 2-3 nights a week to be able to bring in some extra cash. And I thought that that was a great solution to increase the amount of money we had coming in so we could pay our debt down faster. The third thing you can do is work hard at your current job. And I know I don't really have any concrete resources for you other than this book that I read called Linchpin, Are You Indispensable? And this is by Seth Godin, who is a really renowned author and blogger about leadership, about business, entrepreneurship. And he's just got this book out there called Are You Indispensable, where it really kind of challenges you. Are you really doing your best? Are you really giving it your all? Because if you're doing that, people are going to want to reward you. People will want to promote you because they see that you are indispensable. So check that book out. The fourth thing you could do is monetize your skills. And you might be asking, well, what are my skills, or what are some examples? Well, here's some ideas. Are you good at computer repair? Do people call you up and say, hey, can you help me with my computer? Are you good at cutting hair? Maybe that's something that you did in college, or maybe that's something that you do on the side, increasing that, your client base, and getting some more income that way. Or are you handyman? Are you able to fix stuff around the house that breaks? A faucet, a toilet, a door jam, whatever it is. Are you handy? Use those skills and make some money with them. Put up some flyers in your community, talk to friends and family, and try to get the name out there so that you're the person to contact for whatever those services that are needed. They would contact you. The fifth thing you can do is put some items on consignment. And so for those of you who don't know what consignment is, it's basically where you take your items to a store and they sell them on your behalf for a commission. And so a couple of examples where I live are called Well Suited and My Sister's Closet. And that's for clothing, like designer clothing. There's also one called My Sister's Attic where they sell art and furniture and they sell bigger things. So let's just, to give you an example, if you went to Well Suited, which is the men's version, or where men go to buy secondhand designer clothes, if I gave them a shirt that was worth $20, they might give me $12 once it's sold. So I don't get anything unless the clothes sell. But it's a way to get decent money for your clothes without having the hassle of trying to ship things. And if you don't have a lot of time, it's an easier solution than selling stuff online like eBay or Amazon. The sixth thing you could do to get some extra cash is to rent out a spare bedroom. This works better if you're single. If you're married, probably not going to work out the greatest unless maybe your spare bedroom has an exit or entrance from outside, or it's a guest house where, you know, there's separate bathrooms and kitchens and that kind of stuff. But, you know, if your wife or if your spouse is okay with renting out a spare bedroom, you know, definitely be careful about who you have living in your house. But, you know, the best ways to do this that I have found are to ask friends and family. You know, I don't typically recommend that you find someone on Craigslist that you've never met. I've heard that working. I just prefer to, you know, ask friends and family, hey, do you know anybody looking for a place to live? I'm renting out a room. And this is one of the things that we did while we were getting out of debt, was try to get some, you know, roommates, or as much as I could when I was single, to be able to get some headway with at least getting my financial situation in order. At that time, I wasn't really focused on getting out of debt, but I was more focused on trying to pay the bills. But that was a huge way for me to be able to pay the bills, was having roommates. The seventh thing you could do is, if you've got photos, you know, if you travel and you've gone to some place, you've got some unique digital photos, there's a lot of places that you can sell them to get some extra cash. And here's a couple that I found that are reliable sources. Shutterstock and iStock Photo. These are places where you can sign up as like a contributor, and they will pay you when people download your picture a percentage, a commission for those pictures. So check those out. The eighth thing you can do is find sitting jobs. There's all sorts of sitting jobs: house sitting, pet sitting, babysitting. You know, finding these jobs, there's a lot of flexibility in that because it's only a one-time deal, or maybe every month, or it's a lot more infrequent, which gives you the ability to, you know, work a full-time job and not feel overwhelmed. There's a website that you should check out called care.com, and they have a section for pet sitting and they have a section for babysitting, and you search by zip code and you can find babysitters and you can find pet sitters. So put yourself up there as a resource for that, and you'll be able to get some extra income that way if that's something that you're interested in. The ninth thing you can do is become a tutor. Maybe you're really good at math, or maybe you're really good at a foreign language like Spanish or French. Maybe you're good at economics. Whatever it is, you can become a tutor and make money that way. And there's a website that I found that will help you with this process called tutoring-expert.com. And I'll have all these links on the page of the website that this video is on. But if you want to tutor, this is a way to put yourself out there and be able to get some tutoring jobs and bring in some extra income. And lastly, and this seems like a dub, but I think sometimes people overlook it. Number 10 is have a garage sale. You've probably got so much stuff that you've accumulated over the years that you don't even realize you have. If you look in your drawers all the way in the back, or in your cupboards, your cabinets, your storage closet, your closet. I mean, there's so many places in your house where you could have valuable items that you could sell. And to give you some examples, we've sold jewelry, we sold older version iPods, I'm sorry. We've sold cell phones, our previous cell phones. We've sold textbooks. There's just so many things that you can sell that are valuable, and you can use the online market like we talked about in the first suggestion. Or you could have a garage sale where you get rid of it all at once. And that's a really helpful thing that we did when we were getting out of debt, we live in a HOA community where we have a community sale. And so we do that twice a year. And so we had, plenty of opportunities to get rid of our stuff. And that really helped us expedite paying off our debt. Some good resources for advertising your garage sale would be your local newspaper website. So not necessarily the newspaper, because they'll probably charge you to advertise in there. But on the website, at least in Arizona, you can advertise for free. And then Craigslist. Craigslist is the #1 resource for listing pretty much anything yard sale or garage sale related. So I recommend that you definitely do that because it's free. So now with the second half of this class, we're going to talk about 10 ways to decrease your expenses, because these are the two things that you can control, right? You can control your income to some extent by working harder, working extra hours, working a second job. You can also decrease your expenses by, I'm going to show you 10 ways to do that. The first way you can decrease your expenses is to ask your existing service providers for a better deal. I can't tell you and stress enough how important this is. I called up our cable company and I said, it was our internet company at the time, and I said, what's the best deal you can give us? And we were paying $40-something, and we ended up paying $18.99 for the longest time. Another example is calling up my insurance company, my auto insurance company, and asking, hey, is there something that we can do? What kind of discounts are available to us? My wife and I actually ended up combining our insurances, getting some discounts, and saving close to $100 a month just by doing that one thing right there. So call your internet provider, your cell phone provider, your satellite provider, your insurance provider. Ask them for a better deal. That is the #1 thing I'd recommend, because usually you can save hundreds of dollars just by doing that one thing. The second thing would be cancel unused memberships. Do you have a gym membership and you haven't gone in 6 months? Do you have a Netflix membership and the DVD just sits there on the coffee table? Do you have a Hulu membership where you stream, but you don't really stream because you're watching your Netflix? Whatever it is, cancel those unused memberships. When you get out of debt, and if you want to use those things again, then consider getting them. But if you're not using them, why not consider canceling them? The third thing you can do to decrease your expenses is take your lunch to work. And this is so funny how it's a common sense, okay, I know I should do that. Well, I know when I used to work, for someone else, and I would go to lunch because there was a place close by, it could cost me $10 to eat lunch. And really, it should only, if you're taking your lunch to work, I mean, you could get by eating, a microwave dinner and drinking water for $2 to $3. You could brown bag it by creating sandwiches and chips, and you could be in about the same price point. So really, taking your lunch to work over a long period of time, let's say you save $3 a day times 20 days, that's $60 a month that you're saving just by taking your lunch to work. So I really encourage you to consider doing that as well. The fourth thing you can do is find do-it-yourself projects that you can do instead of paying somebody else to do them, because that can be costly too. Professionals can cost $50, $75, $100 an hour. Now, if you don't feel comfortable doing it yourself, obviously hire a professional. I mean, I wouldn't want you doing some electrical work if you're not a licensed electrician, but if your toilet's running, you could probably watch a YouTube video, figure out how to fix it instead of paying someone to do it. A good example is I bought a car and it didn't come with the keyless remote. And so I bought one on eBay for really cheap, called up the dealership and I said, how much will it be to program it? And I think they said it was 60 to $80, somewhere in there. And I was like, that's just expensive just to program it. So I looked up on YouTube how to program keyless entry for 2001 Infiniti G20, which is what I drive. And sure enough, a guy created a video. I was able to program my own remote, save myself the 60 to $80, and it took me less than 3 minutes to do it. So I really encourage you, consider doing it yourself instead of paying someone else to do it, if you have the capability to do so. The fifth thing you can do is install a programmable thermostat. And this is one that it's kind of like a hidden gem, that there's so much waste that happens when it comes to your AC unit. If you don't have a programmable thermostat, if you're just heating or cooling your house all day long, you could be spending hundreds of extra dollars a year. So we did this, and we actually saved, it was probably 10 to 15 bucks a month. So, you know, it saved us $100+ a year just by making this one little change. So definitely encourage you to check that out. Number 6, buy used whenever possible, especially when it comes to big items. You know, a good example is we bought a washer and dryer set for 150 bucks total, delivered to our house, and we still have it to this day. Yes, I had to repair it once, and it cost me 75 bucks, so I got 225 bucks into this used washer and dryer, when that's how much, you can't even get a brand new washer or dryer for that much. So really look for used opportunities, whether it's buying a car, buying appliances. And, you know, you have to use common sense. You have to have discernment. You know, you don't want to just buy used junk. You definitely want to go through the process, ask the right questions. I've got posts on my website if you're interested in more about this. But really, buying used whenever possible will save you not hundreds, but thousands of dollars over the long run. I guarantee it. 7th thing you can do is to wait to use the washer, dryer, and dishwasher. A lot of utility companies, especially I know here in Arizona, they have what are called on-peak and off-peak hours. And if you run your washer, dryer, dishwasher during the on-peak hours, you're going to pay a premium for it. So it's exponential. So really, you want to figure out, hey, does your utility provider have that available to you to select a plan where you have on-peak, off-peak hours? And if so, when you sign up for it, make sure to use your major appliances in the off-peak hours. That will save you a lot of money as well. The 8th thing you can do is turn off your electronics when you are done. Think about your lights. Think about your DVD player. Think about, you know, the light in your stove. I mean, there's a lot of things that you could leave on. Your outdoor light. Everything that's on is generating electricity and therefore costing you money. So just think about, if you've got an electronic, instead of leaving it on, turn it off. Make a habit of that. Slowly but surely over time, it will save you money. Not as much money as some of these other suggestions, but definitely save you some money over time. The 9th thing you can do is analyze your billing statements. I've got a great example for you. We got a T-Mobile bill. I saw 2 charges for $9.99, and I had no idea what they were. And the reason why I caught it was because our bill is pretty much consistent every single month, because we don't go over, we don't get any extras. It just is what it is. And so when I saw it was 20 bucks more than it normally is, I went through the bill and I found these 2 charges, which were ads that my wife had clicked on unknowingly on her phone through a text message, and we got billed for it. And so if I hadn't have caught that and it went on for 6 months, that could have cost us 120 bucks. So really go through each one of your billing statements, take the time, you know, maybe not all at once, but maybe dedicate an afternoon to it or a Saturday morning to it, and make sure that, you know, you're not paying more than you need to. There's no hidden fees or there's no charges that you didn't expect that are in those statements. The last thing you can do, I mean, there's plenty more that you can do, but the number 10 on this list, thing that you can do is inspect each line of your financial game plan. This is probably the most important thing you can do. Go through your financial game plan line by line and say, how can I make this number smaller? And, you know, I understand there's certain things you can't do that with. For instance, maybe your mortgage, maybe you're upside down, you can't do that. So move on to the next line. But maybe you can. Maybe you're at a point where you can refinance and interest rates are at all-time low right now, that you could go from a 6% to a 4%. That would save you a ton of money over the long run. So really going line by line and saying, how can I make this line smaller? How can I make this number smaller? Will be huge in giving you a lot of excess cash to pay down your debt fast. Like I said before, the links from this video will be found on the website where this video is hosted, wellkeptwallet.com/session3. So if you want to know about, the tutoring website, or you want to know about where to sell crafts or any of that stuff, I'll have all the links up there for you for an easy resource. Now, like we did in the last 2 sessions, I'm going to give you the 7 steps for a well-kept wallet. We'll just run through these since this is the 3rd time. But I was in the Czech Republic one time, and this guy told me that repetition is the mother of wisdom. And so the idea is that I want to repeat these things because they're important, and I want them to sink in so that you apply them to your life and so that you really see the change that you're looking for. My goal is to get you from where you are to where you want to be with your finances. And so that's what these 7 steps are designed for. They're not designed to restrict you. They're designed to help you achieve your financial goals in life. So the first goal, create that financial game plan. Stick to it on a monthly basis. Find an accountability partner. That's step 1. Step 2, get a starter emergency fund of a minimum of $1,000. Now, I didn't mention this before, but if you make less than 20 grand a year, you can have a minimum of $500. But for the rest of you guys, have a minimum of $1,000, because really emergencies are going to happen and you need a way to fund them while you're getting out of debt. Step 3, eliminate your debt using the debt snowball, and do it now. Get started. If you don't have a starter emergency fund, I don't want you to get started. Get that starter emergency fund, but as soon as possible, sell as much stuff as you can to fund that emergency fund so you can start paying off your debt and start paying it off with a vengeance. Step 4, once you've paid off your debt, then get at least an emergency fund of 3 months living expenses. So if you make $2 grand a month, put $6,000 away in an emergency fund in case you lose your job, in case you have a medical emergency, whatever might happen. That's what this is for. Step 5, invest a minimum of 10%. And this is of your gross income. So if you made 50 grand a year, that means you should be investing about $5,000 a year. Step 6, save up for major purchases. So at this point, you want to get a boat. You want to go on vacation. Do it. You've got no debt. You've got an emergency fund. You've got a game plan in place. So go out there, have some fun, enjoy life. And step 7, I can't stress this enough, give more. Give back to those, not even those who have helped you necessarily, but those in need. There's so many people out there that could benefit from, things like this course, can benefit from the skills, the talents, and abilities that you have. So give back to the community. So for the last reality check of this class, I thought I would hit it home with a little New Year's resolution question. How many people are successful at achieving their New Year's resolution? The answer? Only 8%. This is done at the end of 2012 by University of Scranton's Journal of Clinical Psychology. Isn't that astounding? The fact that only 8% of people that make New Year's resolutions actually accomplish them. See, the reason why I put this question in here is because I want you to accomplish your goal of being debt-free in 18 months. I want you to get out of debt as soon as possible. If you can do it faster, great. If you can't necessarily do it in 18 months, do it in the shortest amount of time possible. Figure out everything you can do, whether it's sell your vehicle, whether it's get on the same page with your spouse, whatever the thing is that's holding you back from doing it, do that thing. Get going, get moving. Don't be the 92%, be the 8% and achieve your financial goals that you're setting out for. So wrapping up, Henry David Thoreau once said, "The price of anything is the amount of life you exchange for it." Isn't that the truth? Really, if you think about it, you're exchanging time when you purchase something, right? If you get a car and you're buying it on a 5-year term, you're exchanging 5 years of your life to own that car. And so really, think about that. How much life are you exchanging for whatever you're purchasing? And if you think about it that way, you might make different choices. I know that I have. So each session I was telling you a book recommendation that I have. Well, this session, I'm telling you where my favorite books are, and I'll update this as I read more books. But you can go to wellkeptwallet.com/books and find out what I'm reading, find out a little bit about what interests me. And, I'm only going to put up good books there that I think would be valuable. And I have them categorized, whether it's personal finance or investing. So I definitely encourage you to check that out. And lastly, here's my contact info. I'd love to connect with you on Facebook, Twitter. And if you have any, specific questions about your situation, feel free to email me at deacon@wellkeptwallet.com, and I would be glad to answer that question for you. Well, thank you for taking our 3-session course called Debt Free in 18 Months. I hope you found it helpful, and I really look forward to interacting with you at some point, and have a great day.